Yes. It's not a public.
I know, and I told people that.
First of all,
Yes, now I can hear you.
first of all, thank everybody and, basically doing probably all of this whole data center for all over the state and involved with federal organizations. And the company that we work for, we do water treatment on boiler extensions, closed loop, open water. So I'm very familiar with the chemical industry, the processes, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want everybody to come together. These guys are gold is significant, we don't have enough water. We don't have enough water. They don't do the job that everybody talks about. It's the construction guys, and they come in, they're out of state. These are our resources and then when they leave. And there's really not that many employees that actually work at the data center. We produce the data center, not to the scale that these guys do, but I understand how they operate. And I just want to basically express my voice. I'm not in the void, but it affects the whole community, and I feel like we have to come together as a community. Whatever it takes to keep it out last time we felt how we like. And so, yeah, that's.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your input. Next, Miss Shirley Mize.
I'll speak up.
It should be working.
It is.
My name is Shirley Mize. I live at 170 Russell Street. I'm here to talk about the center. And doing a little bit of research, asking the question of how much water does a data center use daily, monthly, yearly in Texas? Typical mid-sized Texas data center uses 300,000 to 500,000 gallons a day. Around $9 to $15 million gallons a month, 110 to 180 million gallons yearly. I think that we need to make sure that we are doing our homework with this. We stand up and not for it, but we are limited to our resources today. We can't hardly bring the water plants that are dying in our dog. If we don't have the resources to give to these data centers, then they're going to make us non-existent here in the city. It states that they can corrupt or cripple or even cause a city to go under based upon the usage that they have from resources today. I just asked the question on the web to come up with information here. Y'all can do that. Be able to understand where we stand as citizens of Rome. Our little town is not very big, and I talk about 1,500 people, 1,800 people could be devastated. So I please ask that we pull our unity together and the resources that we have, and hopefully we have enough resources. My concern is we don't. So hopefully we're still working on that. But we have the best interest of Rome with our future at stake, and that we don't give away what we have that's precious to us today. It's just like if you have electricity, you don't have it, we'll react. Nothing will work at that point. Thank you for your time. God bless you.
Thank you. Ms. Fabiola Valdez.
And I attended the last council meeting when I heard Mr. Crenshaw mention that the next thing he wanted on the agenda was to discuss data centers because they were knocking at our door. And I don't know, that alarmed me. And I think that before we can ask whether Rome really needs a data center, we need to ask whether we can really support one. And I know that in speaking with Ms. Dina before the meeting, she also mentioned that we're not in favor. And I think that we need to be extremely cautious about any development that places extraordinary demands on our water and electrical infrastructure. As it is, I'm only allowed to water on Mondays. And that's it. So, in other Texas communities, because I did a little bit of exploring, are already wrestling with the questions. In McGregor, I recently approved 400 million Galaxy digital data center is expected to create over 30 permanent jobs after the construction is complete. So I feel that is a significant investment with a very few long-term employment opportunities for our community. And at the state level, lawmakers are already recognizing that AI data centers can only place unprecedented demands on the Texas electric. In Garland, officials have reported that proposed data center development could double the electrical demand on the Garland power and light system, requiring major infrastructure planning before the projects move forward. Rome is not Dallas. We're not Fort Worth. We're a small community with limited water resources and infrastructure. So I'm not asking the council to oppose economic development, and maybe that's where it was headed. I'm asking you to simply do what you were supposed to do, and that is protect us, protect the water. We're all taxpayers. We take pride in our community, and we speak out whenever there's a concern. And I also ask that you consider adopting a water scarcity development policy requiring independent studies of water and electrical demand, full total transparency, and careful review of any high impact industrial project before any kind of commitments are made. We cannot manufacture more water. We cannot instantly build or rebuild the infrastructure that these facilities require. But today we can choose to protect the resources that we can.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much for y'all's input. Okay, in that vein, we have announcements from the mayor and council members. Yeah, that was it. We have the next planning and zoning meeting August 10th. And our next city council meeting, which we're making tentative, will be August the 13th. And if we don't need that one, the next city council meeting will be August 27th. Does council have any announcements? None heard? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Do we have any staff reports tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. What we have is in your packet. If we have any questions, we're happy to answer those. But we don't have any presentations here in person.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on to the regular agenda. The first item, as we all know, is a discussion on data centers. This is not a public hearing. This is for us to educate ourselves and the count about what authorities and responsibilities does the city have with regard to these. We have not been approached by anyone wanting to bring a data center here. We're just, as one of the presenters have said, we must do our homework, and this is part of doing our homework. To educate ourselves and find out what our rights are and what are our legal responsibilities and authority with regard to data centers. So we're gonna let Harvin give us a presentation on this, and you can give us the straight up legal. If we have this, if we have a lot of legal questions on this, we may need to break to go into executive session on this, but for the most part, it's educational so that for myself included and for the public to know exactly what the city can and cannot do. All right, Carmen, I'll turn it over to you.
I think you guys had the presentation, just like we're not gonna be able to do it last time.
Is your mic on, sir?
Turn
Barely you guys want to my mic on.
Oh, yes.
We'll turn it back on. It's really like.
I do not mean to offend anybody by calling it data center 101. I know most of you guys know more about it than I do. So anyway, apologize for that title, but anyway, it was 101 to me. They were trying to educate me. So it's first slide is really just a little bit of background information about data center. I think the key takeaway from that particular slide is the last bullet. It's driven by the AI boom, and they are just sucking up so much information and so much resources that they are just expanding and building all over the place. So from that standpoint, we're dealing with. I do have a little bit of experience in one of my other clients. The centers are being built and leased to third parties, Google, Microsoft, big names that you recognize, but the entities that are approaching you will not use those names. They will be third-party developers, third-party construction management teams that will build the data center and then transfer ownership or so it won't come to you as Google or Meta or something like that, say, hey, we want to build a data center. It'll come to the city in some other approach. And you probably already know the pros and cons on that next slide, so I don't need to spend a whole lot of time with it. I just remind you, if they're in our CCN, then we've got water obligations to folks. We are the provider. We are the ones that are licensed to do that. So they would have to deal with us if they're going to come in here and provide water.
So, quick question on that
Okay.
clarification. They're in our CCN. We cannot deny them water, correct?
Well, as all legal questions tend to be,
Okay.
if there are consequences to our denial.
Ah,
So we can deny, but if we deny, that then gives them the right to ask the PUC to cut them out of our CCN.
okay.
So oftentimes we don't want to do that. It's a long-term strategy. The city doesn't want to give that up. So we try very hard, if at all possible, to provide the services. Now, obviously, if somebody comes in here and dwarfs us and wants, 100 times more than what we're capable of providing, then we have to deal with reality. And we probably have to answer them honestly that we can't provide the water that you're demanding of us, and so you'll have to accommodate yourself. And that then leads to those next steps. Now, PUC may have a different answer and may say, no, I still want Rome to keep that and provide the service. And it's a whole different matter.
And that's the Public Utility Commission, PUC, correct?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
No.
Yes, let's keep it 101.
Well, I'm just making clear.
Right. I'm sorry. Yeah, correct me anytime I do that. Try not to, but it does happen once in a while. So the bottom line is we can deny service, but it's something that we would have to make an educated and rational decision about why we're going to do that. And obviously that's a council decision.
Even if we deny it, they can go around us and get somebody else to say, yes, you can,
They have options.
and keeping it simple. So, yeah,
And that's just like if they're in the ETJ, that's what is that what you're talking about? They're in the ETJ, that we have the VPN.
In the city, we also have the obligations to provide the services.
But if it's in the ETJ and we can't provide the services,
The CCN is separate and distinct from the ETJ. And in fact, our CCN, and Jesus can correct me on this,
Certificate of convenience in the system.
there are lots of areas that are even outside of our ETJ that we actually have the certificate of convenience and necessity. That's what that says.
Sorry, Courtney, could you explain for folks that are here? We've got a lot of people here who are wanting to get educated about this.
acronym overload.
What exactly is a CC?
It's a little piece of paper.
That's okay.
I can get down simple. If you want me to. No, it's the document that the state of Texas issues to a entity that has agreed to provide the public service, the water services to that area. And it is their contact point. And we have to make representations to the state that we have the capability, that we have the finances, that we have the expertise, that we know how to run a water system, essentially. And that's what we submit to them. And then they basically say, if we agree with you, here is your certificate. They are registered, they have numbers, and they can look them up. You can actually go on right now and you can find by address, I believe, it's that direct. You can find out who holds the certificate for your particular location. So that's the entity that you have to first. You can't just establish your own water service. You have to go to that entity first to see if they will.
You own the water
provide-
rights from,
Right.
or, you know, simply put, we own the water rights for a certain specific area. Well, we have the right, if we wanted to drill a well, we have, if somebody wanted to drill a well in our area, they'd have to come to us for it.
No. Boy, I hate to disagree with my.
No, I'm just
On
trying to,
anything.
I'm learning.
The bottom line is we have an obligation to provide the service.
There it is.
As the holder of the certificate, we have basically first dibs.
Yeah.
And they have to come to us and we can provide it, then we get to provide it and we get to charge for that.
So not they can go somewhere.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that makes more sense.
That's scenario.
Okay.
Quick, hang on, we got a question over here.
If not, they can go somewhere else. You mean they go somewhere else to get the service, not they physically find a new location,
Sorry.
or both?
They go back to the PUC. I'm gonna use that acronym again. The Public Utility Commission is the one that issues those CCNs. Certificates of Convenience and Necessity. They then ask the PUC to redraw the lines of the map. Say, the one that the holder of the certificate for my lot has indicated they can't provide the service. Therefore, I would like to provide the service myself, or I would like it transferred to another provider who has also demonstrated the capability and the competence to provide the
Either
service.
drill their own well or go to Fort Worth.
Well, so another provider could be, Aqua Texas.
Yes.
It could be the RVR Water District. It could be any of those others that have or co-hold a CCN or say that they can provide it. Is that correct? To some extent?
It's very correct. With one additional caveat that I would throw on is generally the PUC likes the boundaries of the districts to be contiguous.
Okay.
Okay, so they don't want a checkerboard effect.
I got it. Okay, please. I'm sorry I've interrupted.
No, no, no,
Now it
no.
makes things a little clearer.
You know, I thought I just. Okay. So it's talked about the water and the energy consumptions. Obviously, those are gargantuan, so I don't think I need to add much more to that. Just if they come in, they demand a lot of water, they demand a lot of energy. Now, I will also say that in some of the negotiations that I've recently been in, they also will claim that they can provide their own water, that they can bring their own water. They'll have a closed loop system. They will actually build their own nuclear power plants, by the way, and provide their own electricity. So these are not small entities. These are large scale entities that will come in and generally be able to meet all of their needs.
Self-sufficient.
They're somewhat self-sufficient. So we can tell them we can't do it, but that won't necessarily stop a data center. They have the means and the capability of providing the needs. Try not to editorialize, but just as the city attorney, I would observe that might not be a bad thing for us because it wouldn't draw down our water. They wouldn't draw down our energy if they come in and provide their own. Maybe with that, you know, we'll see how that all works out. Now, I would also go on to the next slide, which was actually already mentioned by one of the speakers today. The governor has already issued sent a letter to the PUC. I've given you there the contents of it. Generally, he's wanting the state to intervene and regulate these data centers. That would be probably the best model for us, being as we're not, you know, like City of Houston or somebody like that, that has a lot of resources to fight something like this. It would allow the state of Texas to enter the arena and issue the regulations. Now, being a fan as I am of local control, do acknowledge then that gives up a lot of your local control. Because now it's the legislature, the doctrine of preemption, and we've talked about preemption before. If the state jumps into the mix and they start issuing rules and regulations, and those rules trump us. Okay, so we would not be able to regulate in that arena if the state of Texas jumps in there. So,
But that also, you also got to balance that against the fact that most of these people building these data centers have got extremely deep pockets. they could bankrupt this city in doing paperwork or in legal battles. There's no way we could fight it in court. That's why the state can fight them. But yeah, there's a cost with that. Well, I think if, you know, maybe it'd be worth it.
Do we know if Wise County has started anything on this?
I'm not aware of it, but
No,
I haven't actually asked.
I haven't heard anything to that effect, and I've been not monitoring, but watching the county commissioner meetings, because it's very formative when you go back and I don't have the ability to get up there to each one, but I can now see them online. So I have not heard anyone in any of our circles discussing that, which is what we want to stress this evening. This is really to educate as many folks as we can, because I want to be prepared, and you all as council have stated you want to be prepared so that we're being proactive instead of reactive in order to protect the community as best that we can.
I'd also like to applaud the mayor for requesting this to be on the agenda, but I also at the same time want to calm the community that this is completely us trying to be proactive, learn more so that we understand if and when the time comes. That no one, again, just like Mayor Crenshaw said, no one's approached us, no one's talked to us about it. We're just trying to learn so that we know.
That is a very good point. Keep in mind also, if you know your map of your city, there are not a whole lot of likely places a data center could plant itself. So that is a little bit of a geographical defense that we might have.
But again, you know, if they come in the ETJ, our options are limited. I mean, we gotta serve them anyway within their CCN, but
ETJ, we have almost no authority
Right.
to regulate the ETJ. So if they go into an ETJ location, not much. We
the
don't
only
have.
thing, you know, would be if they've asked to be annexed.
So just if we can pause there, ETJ is our extraterritorial jurisdiction. That is, if when and after this meeting's over, if you want to look at the map that we have on the wall, it's the dotted blue line, and it encompasses about 16 to 19 square miles. So ETJs for general law cities extend, is it a half a mile, Carbon,
Half a mile.
from your city limits? You'll see on the map here on the wall, the biggest piece that we have that's currently within the city limits is the Chisholm Trail Ranch. And we've been in contact with that family about some other things, not about this. And they are very happy with their property, and I don't have any indication that they're looking at something like that. I think where I've heard the concerns are these pockets that are in our ETJ that are several hundred acres that could potentially be attractive to some type of a development like that. Again, no one has come forward. We just want to make sure that we are aware, the community is aware that the ETJ is a whole nother arena for us to work within, and we virtually have no rights within that because it's in the county, not in the city limits.
And when the state took away everybody's rights to annex, we could fix that hodgepodge of patchwork city limits and make it contiguous and have all that land within the city limits like New Fairview was smart enough to do before the state took away the rights. So now if we want to bring that land into the city, they have to volunteer and ask the city to be annexed. So
Yeah.
just so everybody's clear, we can't just annex anybody anymore. The state took that away. All right, sir.
Let me just throw out one other little bit of a rabbit trail, not a complete rabbit trail, and I'm not disclosing anything that isn't part of the public record. But some of the asks that have come from the data center builders has not been for permission to build. It has been for a tax abatement.
Yeah.
In other words, they want the taxing authority where they're building to abate their ad valorem taxes for a period of time. That you do not have to do. And the data centers came to the different taxing entities. Let's put it back a year or so saying, hey, you really want us. We are good. We will enhance your ad valorem property tax values. They will quadruple. I mean, I don't know the big enough number for it. That's one of my kids. But yeah, the values will go way up. And so, but the pitch that they have made in these instances is, gosh, that is just a windfall to you. Could we cut that back in half? It'll still be a $500 million windfall to you, but it'll save us 500 million in property taxes. And could we do that over the next 10 years? That's where the citizens got word of these kinds of structures being built. It was in the context of a tax abatement that did not have to be granted, but it was being requested by the data centers. So I throw that out there just as, that's sometimes the context of what you might be reading about in these, and it has nothing to do with their ability to do the center. Even if the entity doesn't grant the abatement, guess what? They can still build it and they'll pay their taxes and they won't blink. So
They're making 3 times that.
that, I just threw that one out. So,
But the ETJ, we don't get taxes on
that
it.
is correct. Very limited circumstances. As your lawyer, you always get to throw that up there. But we do. The bottom line on that, it would be a county matter.
Mhm.
It's not really hard.
Does anybody have any more questions or comments?
I hesitate to do this, but there are probably 2 other things just to throw out, just for discussion purposes. One, our current zoning, I think, only would allow something like a data center. It does not use the word data center anywhere in our zoning ordinance. Checked again today before it came out here. There is a possibility they might be able to make an application for one under our special use permit procedure. That is a very regulated procedure, and it gives us a lot of options to intervene and say this doesn't work for our city for lots of reasons. So it's public good, it's harmful to the environment. There are a number of steps that we could justify not granting a special use permit. And I'm being presumptuous there because you might want to grant one. So either way, you're the final adjudicator of that particular question, but that is an avenue that is available for someone to make a request under our current ordinance. I contemplated, as it's part of my job, should we revise it? Should we change it? Should we ban it? And I got a lot of hate mail back from some of my partners on that particular one, warning me that there's a constitutional prohibition against taking people's property without compensating them for it. And I actually knew that, but they reminded me of it. Some of them in less than friendly words. And so the general word on that is we probably shouldn't be looking at a complete ban. That draws fire. So if we're going to approach this, I think our current ordinance actually is pretty good. I may want to tweak it a little bit if we go that direction. If you want to start me heading that way, I don't like to do that necessarily without you guys telling me how you want to go. So let's just throw that one out there as you might want to analyze that question. Is that something that we should do? I told you guys this before and I mean it. There's not a whole lot of advantage for the city of Rome to be the point of the spear in litigation. There are bigger animals out there, some of the bigger cities. Some of those guys can take on this fight of whether or not this constitutes a constitutional taking. And our ordinance is not out of line, it's consistent. Some cities have taken a total ban approach and I think they will draw fire. And maybe I'd rather them.
Let them pay the bill.
I mean, I'd love to get paid legal fees, but actually we turned it over to TML probably anyway, so it's not really a financial thing to me, but the bottom line there is we've got a lot of things to do and to get involved in a big statewide litigation matter is making the best use of
You're not big enough for that.
staff's time. So I'd be curious about that, but those are things that you could tell me later. And we could probably do that in executive session.
So just to boil it all down, nobody has come to us, put a data center, we're just educating ourselves. But if, for instance, somebody comes here, just like any business, if they come here wanting to put something in our city limits, if it's zoned for that business and they meet all of the city requirements and ordinances, they have every right to build what they want to build. Even in the county, if they meet the county's requirements, you cannot stop somebody from doing what they want with their property.
However, they would have to file for a special use permit
If it was in the city limits,
if it's in the city limits.
correct.
And then there are steps that we could take if
That's right.
we agreed that that was not in the best interest of the citizens.
That is correct.
And we,
There are some things that some cities have done, imposed requirements, and, you know, there are some things that maybe could make it more palatable. And that would be something that you could negotiate during that process.
Just want to be very cautious that we're not causing alarm for our
Oh, yeah.
constituents. Well, judging by the size of the audience, I think we may have.
Well, I've already explained the purpose of this topic. It was just educational. So we're just doing our homework. So we're going to continue to do our homework for the people of the city, just like you guys always do. So if you have anything else for Carvin, if not, I would like to thank him for doing this for us. I learned a lot. Now I kind of feel more prepared in case somebody does try to do this. We kind of know what we can do and what we can't do. And we can better communicate what's going on to the citizens to let them know.
Mr. Lawson.
Yep. Oh, Mr. Loftus?
Dr. Crenshaw, prior to my retirement, I worked in these data centers for 18 to 20 years. And so I can tell you that inside, they are extremely noisy. I would always wear earplugs. Outside, I didn't notice it so much, simply because the one I went to most often was south of the DFW airport. And there's a lot of noise in one, so I didn't really notice it. In a rural area, I can see where you have it's in Rhome. And I worked as a third party, doing work for Yahoo and with a company called Comstock. Very high security place. You had to have, show your identification, have a badge, and also provide a biological identification to enter. The only other thing I would mention is that I saw this, I dropped this off for you folks. And this is an application for a water recycling permit for the Rolling Bean Ranch. This appeared in the Wise County Messenger in August of 2025. And they're wanting to treat wastewater at a volume not to exceed annual average flow of 6 million gallons per day. When I read this back last August, first thing I thought of was, that's the supply data. So I just wanted to put this out here. There could be something going on.
If I could just respond, that Rolling B is currently not zoned. There would be no way that they could provide a data center without requesting the council to give them a zoning change. So you have plan. Yeah, it does occur to me that that would be something, but they've agreed in a development agreement to very strict rules.
No shit.
Killer.
Okay. With that said, thank you for doing all that. We all appreciate it very much, and we will keep everybody informed if this ever does pop up. Moving on to the next item on the regular agenda. Loans to improve properties, CBDG grants, USDA, Section 504, and Habitat for Humanity. Mr. Loftus.
Yeah, since the beginning of the year, I've been involved in something called the First Street Initiative. It's sponsored by the Texas Historical Society. I found out about this effort through last year's TML conference. And so as part of that, I've had to do some exercises identifying assets and shortcomings of this area, specifically Old Town. And also performed a survey of all the properties in Old Town. And as part of that, next step is going to be kind of to identify some projects. And so I started looking into grants that are available. And there are CDBG State of Texas grants. That's a community development block grant. For this year, it's closed this time. I hope it will be opening up again next year. I found some grants in there where possibly we might be able to get funding to renovate some of our properties here in the city that the city owns. And so I'm going to be looking into that. The other thing I ran into is called a USDA Section 504. This is a $10,000 grants to qualifying rural property owners for roof repairs. And Rome is classified as a rural area under this program. I also contacted Habitat for Humanity in Tarrant County, and they actually cover Weiss County. Apparently, they handle these grants and use them to improve properties. And they will actually assist property owners in doing paperwork for the grant. And so I think that's an opportunity for the city to at least notify citizens of Rome who may have problem properties that this money is available so they can see if they can qualify to improve the property. And that's about all I have.
All right, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Does the council have any further questions for Councilmember Loftus? All right, nothing heard. Thank you. Moving on to item C, which is the FY 2024 audit.
Thank you, sir. We do have a representative from MWH here this evening that if you'll want to join us there at the microphone, you will also find in your binder, the audit is behind tab number 6C. So you do have copies of that in there as well. And they will go through the highlights for you. If you have questions, we're happy to answer any of those.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Valerie Halverson. I'm the shareholder in charge of the audits for the city of Rome, and I am here to present. We just completed about a month or two ago the 2024 audit. So I'm here to kind of hit the highlights with you and answer any questions that you may have. But really, the real highlight here is that this 2024 audit is complete, and that we've got 2025, and if we can get that done within the next couple of months, then we can be on track to get 2026 done. So Rome overall has had transition in accounting personnel, transition in accounting software, and some really big challenges that have made this audit really challenging. But I feel like the team has been working hard, and we've got some good people, consultants on board that are really helping to kind of push you over the line. So I think that's really, for me, if I were in your position, what I'd want to know is getting this done is a big deal. Getting 2025 done is a big deal, and getting 2026 done by the end of March is the biggest deal. So this is a step on that milestone in that kind of path. So because these numbers are, relatively bold at this point, I'm going to kind of hit the highlights, but I'm very happy to go into any more details if you want. I can talk as long as you'd like me to, but I'd like to, toe the line between boring everybody to tears. So with that, I'll kind of start in our financial statements, and I'm going to point out first, numbered page 1, that's our independent auditors report on the financial statements. This says that we believe the financial statements are fairly presented in almost all respects. That's the opinion that you would like to see here. It's what we call an unmodified opinion. I like to say it's as nice as we get as auditors. So past that section goes into the management's discussion and analysis, which starts on page 5. This section is intended to provide a bit of a conversational approach to what happened during the year as a result of the activity and how these financial statements work together. City governmental statements are a little unique in that there are a lot of different statements and different types of accounting that go into them. So this kind of provides a little bit of an explanation for that. And then I will get into the meat of it, which starts on page 13. Those are your basic financial statements. Page 13 is your statement of net position. So this is your assets, liabilities, and then the difference between the two is your net position. And this statement right here is the only place where you're going to see the city as a whole. So this includes your governmental activities and your water sewer activities to get to your city's total asset liability net position. So at the end of 24, the city as a whole had 12.2 million in assets, just about 5 million in liabilities. And so the total net position is about 7.8 million. That is an overall increase of about 820,000 from last year. And kind of the big number to watch here is that unrestricted piece, about 3.3 million. So the unrestricted net position is going to be kind of what's available for the city's use going forward. The other categories, the net investment in capital assets, so that's going to be infrastructure and things that really are in use, and then things that are restricted by third parties. So that unrestricted piece is kind of what's available at the city's discretion. Governmental activities at 2.6 million unrestricted net position, business type at 327,000. At next page, page 14, is your statement of activity. So this is your revenue expenses and you're changing that position. This statement is a little bit unusual of a format. You're used to reading P&Ls. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of it. That first column here is expenses. So this is what the city has spent for each department. So for example, general government, there are $1.2 million in expenses related to general government activities. And if you follow that down, you'll see water and sewer had 1.9 million during the year. The next three columns are program revenues. So those are revenues that are derived from the activities of that department. So you can see that that first column, 472,000 in general government. So those are going to be findings, fees, charges, and services related to general government. Then there are some operating grants and contributions. And if you follow that all the way down to kind of that next section, you'll see that governmental activities, the net cost is 622,000. So that's the expenses less those direct revenues derived by that department. If you follow that column all the way down, you'll get to our next section, which is our general revenues. So those are revenues that are revenues of the city, but that have nothing to do with any one department. They're just general. So that's your property taxes, your sales tax, franchise fees and things of that nature. Then you get down to your total general revenues and transfers. And then as you're changing that position, the city's overall changes in an increase of 808,000 for governmental activities, a decrease of 189,000 for business type activities, an increase overall of 619,000. I realize that was still on the previous page. So the overall increase is 619,000 for the city. Does that make sense how that city works?
Now that you.
It's an unusual format.
Yeah.
Um,
So we're operating in the black for that year. Yes,
Yes, sir, for the city as a whole. For the utility fund, though, there was a loss.
well, we already know about that.
Okay.
We're fixing that.
Page 15 then goes to your governmental fund. This statement and the next several statements are on a different basis of accounting. This has been intended to be a little bit closer to a cash basis of accounting. So current assets and current liabilities only. And you've got a general fund here and a debt service fund. And so this just includes current assets, current liabilities. And so what we're really watching here is your fund balance, specifically your unassigned fund balance in your general fund. You want that to be around 3 to 6 months of expenses in that unassigned bucket. And you are well above that. So you've got a healthy unassigned fund balance in your general fund, which is good to see. And the main number to watch in that statement.
Well, that was 2024.
Still yet.
I don't know. We're good.
Page 16 just shows you the reconciling items that take you from that fund statement that we just looked at versus that first statement for the government wide. Page 17 then goes into your revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance for your governmental funds. So again, this is closer to a cash basis than a full accrual basis. And again, our main thing that we want to watch is what's going on in the general fund. And your general fund increased about 691,000 during 2024. So that's kind of bumping up that unassigned fund balance.
Debt service.
And the debt service fund had a little bit of a loss, so ended the fund balance of 16,000.
Yeah.
Again, that's bringing in property tax revenue and then paying it right back out with expenses.
Okay.
And then page 18 has that same reconciliation to get you from one of those income statements to the other. So that's what that is. And then page 19 goes into your proprietary fund, individual fund statement. So the water and sewer fund are always on full accrual. So these numbers are not different then. It's just provided in a little different format, but you'll see the same results. It's just a different format. Kind of look a little bit more like a full profit set of statements. And so those are the highlights on the basic financial statements. And then past that, we get into the notes to the financial statements. So this discusses the city of Rhome's accounting policies and then specific balances for the city of Rhome. There were no new notes or significant changes to existing notes. So this just provides basically additional detail for the outstanding balances. I will point out, this is kind of the only time you probably see this is the retirement plan. So I'm going to point you to page 35. So the city participates for the PMRS in their pension plan, and kind of part of that, the PMRS has actuaries that create the net pension liability or asset in year fee for the city. And so this on the top of page 35 is showing that calculation. So the actuaries determine what the city's total liability is that they expect to pay in the future. This is retirees or participants as of 12/31/2023 is the measurement date. So the liability at that point was 1.7 million. If you look to column B, you'll see that that's the fiduciary net position. So those are assets held at TMRS in the city's name to pay that out in the future. So that was 1.9 million, which is higher than the liability. So you actually had a pension reset at the end of the reporting date, which was 12/31/23. So that's good to see, to have that good funded position, but that varies wildly in different cities. So always good to get an asset position. And those are really the highlights of the kind of financial information. Is there anything that y'all need to go into in any additional detail?
We're in the black. I'm happy.
You don't mess with the money.
No mess with it. And we're catching up, getting our paperwork straight,
That's right.
so we can get back on track to meeting our legal obligations as far as getting our budget reviewed. So
That's exactly right.
we're in good shape. Okay, thank you. Yes, of course.
Just for the record, I haven't had a chance to read the whole document. Are there any recommendations that you've made to the city that we need to take any actions on?
We did not have any. So, I mean, the city as a whole, obviously, we've gone through a lot of transition. So a lot of the things that have taken the time, we feel like the city's addressing. And so we didn't try to separate findings where they're the, yeah, so.
Good shape.
I also have one other question. I'll take you all the way back to the very first page of your documents. This is one of the letters. There's a phrase in here that a line item was not properly recorded. Have all the recording errors been corrected? Have they been taken care of?
It's not in a letter.
Yes,
Yes, I'm sorry, it's not a number 12.
Okay.
It's the June 5th. It's
Yeah.
the one addressed to
The one
council.
Like this with the. yeah.
right. It's the very
Okay.
first page there, the very
So,
first starting
well,
line.
in the final page of that document lists out some adjustments that were made. The bigger adjustments that are in here are for TMRF, which is something that we do as part of our agreement with you, that will make those adjustments, but they're very complicated. So there were no material adjustments, but any material adjustments that we did propose have been recorded in the city's records, and that's a very common piece that happens during a city audit, especially at the site. So, yeah, any adjustments that we found that needed to be posted were posted.
Okay, specifically the one I'm referring to, there is that government funds bullet item there in the middle of the page, $235,000. Has that one been properly posted? First page.
Oh, on the first page?
Yeah, right smack dab there in the middle of Tim Debbie.
Sorry, I was looking at the final page. Yes, so that was related to the police and fire services. And that contract kind of came in and there was some confusion about the timing of when those payments came in. And so that was all reconciled with these consultants and that was corrected.
That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
So what I see from reviewing this is that for the year 2024, the city was operating in the black. We're in good physical condition, and we're following generally accepted accounting principles. Correct? Okay, so we're good. Anybody else? No further questions? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, where we can understand. Do we have to approve this? Yes. Okay. So at this time, do I have a motion to accept the audit as presented by the MHW group?
I make a motion to accept the audit as presented by the MWH Group for the 2024 fiscal year.
I do have a second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, thank you all. Appreciate you very much. All right, last on the regular agenda is Emergency Services District 5. It is a resolution to follow up when they came to us and asked us if we want to join ESD 5, we sent them a nice note back saying, no, we do. The city of Rome does not want to join the CSD and will not. And they sent it twice, matter of fact, and didn't understand no the first time. So just like every other city in Wise County, we're passing a resolution saying that we the city of Rome does not wish to join the ESD number 5. Right now, that's it. So everybody ought to know, we've already discussed this once. We're just making this official.
This is a formality to
It's a
make sure that
formality.
everything is properly documented, and we do have the letter that we sent in. We also mailed copies to all the county commissioners and to Judge Clark so that they had it for their records. There's actually a public hearing next Monday morning that the chief and I will attend at 8:30 at the county commissioners, at the Wise County Courthouse. So if anyone wants to attend, there has also been, the city of Decatur has declined to participate. The city of New Fairview has declined to participate.
Does this also include RDTJ or,
Yes.
okay,
Because this is, in my humble opinion, not a good idea. So we're not gonna go through that again. Right now, I just want a motion to approve a resolution that to oppose ESD, joining of ESD number 5.
Before we propose the resolution, I think I want to say on council's behalf, what we had discussed was that the ESD number 5 would duplicate services. It would take years for those services to then take effect because they would not have an infrastructure to provide them. And so we do not believe that it's in the best interest of our ETJ to do that. So
And it basically creates a taxing entity that has virtually no oversight. So we're doing good on our own. We're building a very professional fire department, police department, emergency services division. I want to keep it. So this is another formality. So if someone would like to make a motion to approve this resolution, appreciate it.
make a motion to approve the resolution to oppose the city of Rome, city limits, and the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction in emergency services district number 5.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yeah, that is going to be something people are going to regret. But are there any other topics for that council wishes to have looked at for future agendas? Nope. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 I
Aye. Do I have a second?
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.